Well, we have an extra screen today.
Wait, I'm trying to get got it.
It's kind of interesting because I'm in the same room with basically the same computer. It's the same brand. It's a couple years. This one I'm looking at now is newer. This one's older. On this old one, I always look kind of green. And on this one, I'm almost white, but I have the same settings done on both. And, I just wanted to point this out so you can see that it's really challenging. I was just on a call where they were filming me for a big event, and I used this one, the lighter one, but you couldn't really see the base of the time of day. He wanted to be able to see the books behind me better. So I had to get a light, get it out of view, put it so it flashed against the book. So that was not, because right now, see how my black blends into everything? And
as a result, you just look like a talking face.
I look like a talking face. I think maybe it's better if I go blue. Let's try blue.
Oh, okay. That might work better.
You don't want to go green because then they can't green screen you, right? So
I don't know anymore.
I'm not just a talking head. It
Okay.
helps a little bit. So at least you could tell where I differentiate, even though I'm in my extra clothes.
But that's much better on the top. The bottom one is kind of fuzzy. Now look at my picture, and my picture is similarly fuzzy, and it has a yellow cast to it so that even my teeth look yellow.
Yeah, I look very fluorescent. My teeth are like glowing.
But people have to understand that you have to play around with the light. Now this light, I'm playing around with this. I'm playing around with this. I shouldn't have blotches of light on my face. So you have to be careful of that. This is why professional
does it just it really can come in too strong. So I really hate to have light because of that.
Well, but this is why professional lighting people get paid a lot of money.
No, I know. I have so
make us or break us.
This right now is just sunlight. I don't have any special light on. But what I found is the best lighting comes from the computer at my face normally. If you're trying to
well, we have another issue going on. You look too low down to my being up there. Think of all the talking heads that we see.
I got a dog ball. See the red dog ball?
Well, you can't go anywhere without your dog ball.
I had done that kind of intentionally, so we didn't have to have Luna participated. Because you might see a dog ball going across the screen. Now, you bring up a very important point. You want to have the same distance, like if you're way up here and I'm way back here. I mean, we try to get sort of close,
We try very hard, but it doesn't always work well. But on air, if you watch the newscasts and all the talking heads, they're about equal as far as the height is concerned.
Yeah, they got people who make good money doing that. Unfortunately, nobody's paying us enough to learn enough about that part. But
even if they paid us, we still wouldn't learn the years and years of experience or have that kind of camera equipment.
No, and I'm going to get rid of this other one of me because I'm tired of looking at my profile.
Well, and this one
is an important thing to discuss because I did a lot of lighting with the guy the other day. He really wanted to differentiate between the bookshelf and different things. And he's this Emmy Award. I remember when I went to New York, I got to hold his Emmy, and I know this guy's like a really good guy at this stuff.
You got to hold his Emmy.
I'm like, I remember you. You're the Emmy guy. But he's such a nice guy. His name's David, and he was awesome. But he was great because that's what he does all day. And he's put a light on this and put a light on that. And it's hard when you're at home and you don't know. So you sometimes have to play around. I've got all kinds of lighting and I hardly ever use it because I'm like, I just end up looking green, and I could live with it because it's just, that's who I am as far as this goes. It's more to me about content than how fluorescent white or whatever I can make myself.
Well, okay, squash that idea.
I know. You're the more professional in this respect than I am on that one.
It's not about content anymore. We are, it's so interesting because we are hired because we have content-rich information for audiences. And that's why people come to us. But once you get on air, your content is of little importance. That's what gets you in the door. But what keeps you in the door is your on-camera experience, the interaction that you have, and everything else. How do you play for the ratings, in other words? And even though we are not thinking in terms of, well, this is a television show and the ratings are going to come in tomorrow and I better be making a good showing, it's the same thing, because the audiences do not differentiate between what they see on television and what they see on YouTube and any of these other platforms. They can't, they don't, I mean, we don't do that.
Yeah.
So content, yeah, that's why people hire us. Do they care about it once we are on camera? Nope.
Yeah. It's a different time of what people stay hanging in for, I think a lot of it is, they always say it's how you make people feel. And it really isn't so much of what you say in some respects, it's what they feel like after they've interacted with you. And I was talking to a really important Hall of Fame speaker who I love, Ford Sachs, about this. And we were talking about preparing for a talk that I was doing. And there's an expression about, getting over the lights or getting past the lights. You got to get down into the audience over the lights, talking about the lights that we're talking about today. You got to just bypass those and get yourself in among the people and connect with them. And I think that he does that so well. And I think that when you're speaking to people, there's the technical aspects of what we've talked about with the lighting and different things. And then there's the content, but then there's also, how do you make people feel about themselves, and how are you connecting with them to make them feel like they're part of the event?
So that's a very important point also, because if you are talking about how to make people feel positively about themselves, you have to bring them into the equation. And theoretically and traditionally, people were never supposed to talk about people when we were doing theoretical formats and creating all kinds of slides for business or educational purposes. And things have changed terribly now. I mean, I don't know if it's terribly. I think that's the wrong word to use. But dramatically, yeah, things have changed dramatically, because if those people don't leave with a feeling of positivity of, I needed that information, I'm going to change my life with it now, I didn't have that information before, and always, it's what's in it for me. That's the audience's standpoint or sit point if they're sitting there.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they understand that there's something specific in there for them to gain something major in their life. And that requires you to know who they are, where they're coming from, what their needs are,
Mm-hmm.
and how many of us
Which
go
requires
through
curiosity.
Well, and that's exactly right.
Right. To get empathy and put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you've got to know what kind of questions to ask and be curious about them. I mean, that's really a lot of what I talk to organizations about when we're developing curiosities. It ties into emotional intelligence and all that. And
oh, it certainly does. Somebody came to me and wanted me to address a group of people who were in his audience, 17 to 45, about drug addiction. Now, 17 to 45
range
is quite a range.
Yeah.
Let me turn this noisy thing off too, because that doesn't stop either. Yeah, well, that's a huge range. So I said to the person, I would love to do this. Sure, I could do this. And then he said, and I said, give me some background as to why these people are coming to hear somebody talk about drug addiction, or to come and read something about drug addiction when the range is 17 to 45 and it's a corporate setting. How were these people found? And the person said, that's all the information you need to know. And I said, well, thank you very much. I'm not the person for this job. I didn't have enough information to go on. And I don't know if he was running some kind of secret society somewhere, but I couldn't address that if I couldn't pinpoint their issues to talk to them directly. So I walked away from that gig.
Mhm.